designed by me. It was given 10 days. The idea was this is a swimming pool room, okay? And I was given a challenge, like you said, now problem solving. So I was given a challenge. You have 10 days. The Home Minister is coming, and we need to design something out of it. So we decided to work on something called Gatha Swaraj, because the Marathas used to call their empire, this empire, as Hindavi Swaraj. You know, when Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj passed away, his last, he gave a slogan. The slogan was Ahat Tanjavur, Ahat Peshawar, Abdha Mulka. That is, from Tanjavur to Peshawar, the entire land is ours. And he died. Before his dying, he gave this clarion call to his people. He said, now I am going, but please liberate all the Jyotirlingas. Liberate the Vishweshwar of Kashi. Liberate the Sapta Sindhu. And expand and bring all of them within the Hindavi Swarajya. So we decided to name this gallery as Gatha Swaraj ki after Hindavi Swarajya. All the deep stumps that you see, they represent, the lamps represent all the Maratha states. And we have also represented all the Maratha states with their flags on different parts. And when you walk around this gallery, sir, like you walk from here, it has a chronological background to it. It starts with Shivaji Maharaj. That's actual paint. These are reconstructions. This is actual from the collection. You have Bhagwati giving the sword to Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, Bhavani sword, that you go and rebel against the foreign occupation. From Shivaji Maharaj's time, when we move, we see that the Chhatrapati became weaker. The Peshwa, the Prime Minister, as it was depicted in that movie also, Bajirao. Though there are a lot of fallacies in it, nevertheless, the Peshwa or the Prime Minister or the Panta Pradhan became, even though he was ruling in the name of the descent, but he became very powerful, and they were Brahmins. In the Maratha Samrajya, the interesting thing is, why it is different from many others is, all castes, different castes, they fought to create the Hindavi Swarajya. You had Brahmins like Balaji Vishwanath, Thorle Bajirao, who fought for the Marathas. You had Kayasthas like Baji Prabhu Deshpande, who fought for the Marathas.
Kayastha?
Yes, Baji Prabhu Deshpande in Pawan King, when they were coming to attack the Marathas, it was a narrow place. It was like a choke point. And Baji Prabhu Deshpande told Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj that you leave. I'll stand here, and with his few handful of soldiers, Baji Prabhu with pattas in his hand, he stood and protected Shivaji Maharaj. The man and Shivaji, there was a person, who impersonated Shivaji Maharaj and said that when the enemy will come to catch you, he will look at me and he'll say, oh, he is Shivaji, because he was very similar to Shivaji. His name was Shiva Kashin. Until then, he told Shivaji Maharaj, you leave. He was a Baba. वो नाई समाज से आते थे. Most of the fort commanders of Shivaji were Mahara, the caste from which Baba Sahib Bhimrao Ambedkar came from. So why Marathas succeeded, whereas many others did not, is the reason that they were very eclectic in their origin. Like look at Bajirao. Bajirao, even though he was a Chitpavan Brahman, now Chitpavans are considered to be one of the most orthodox Brahmins, and they are fighting Brahmins. I don't know, you must have definitely met General Khandare and people like these. They are all fighting Brahmins of Maharashtra. General Naravali, he is a Kayastha. So here in Maharashtra, there is this tradition of the fighting Brahmins and the worshipping Brahmins, and fighting Kayasthas and working Kayasthas. So you will not get this kind of culture in other parts of India. So Bajirao will have a choti, he will have a shika, even this, but everywhere Bajirao is fighting. He never lost a battle. And the good thing about Bajirao was meritocracy, understanding importance and the potential of people. So instead of giving preference to those born with a silver spoon, what Bajirao did was, he asked his people, who are the best commanders? And he found a farmer, and a goat herder, Mallara Holkar.
So that is how he picked up Scindia.
Yes, so Scindias were very small by then. Initially they had their own Sendrak and all those histories there. But over a period of time, like you presented in your presentation, and during the Islamic occupation or Muslim occupation, the power reduced substantially and they became patils of a village called Kanakhed. And suddenly this man arose and he said that Hindavi Swaraj ka vistar hona chahiye. To the vistar of Hindavi Swaraj, you need capable people. So he made Scindia his left hand and Holkar his right hand. Shinde Holkar. Shinde was a farmer, basically. Whatever his grand ancestry may have been, but the time when he joined the service of Bajirao Peshwa is a farmer. And who was Holkar? coat herder. He was a dangar. Imagine he came from the same community that we in North India we call Pal, Baghel, Gaderia. He was a Gaderia. And a farmer, a Kunbi farmer and a Gaderia rose on to become one of the richest rulers in India. Ahilyabai Holkar also came from the same Gaderia community. So this is the reason why the Marathas succeeded in creating that empire, because all castes. There was a professor, sir. His name was Muhammad Habib, the father of Irfan. So even though I don't subscribe to the Marxist history, I know it's a Marxist view of Indian history. I don't subscribe to. But his father Muhammad Habib wrote one line, which is, to an extent, it explains the situation of medieval India. He said nobody fights for his own chains. People were asked him, why did the Turks succeed, Afghans succeed, why were the Indians being beaten? There was not just a chasm in technology. There were certain other chasms and gaps also. One of the gap was this: the plebeian section of the Indian society, the farmers, the workers, they were not supposed to carry weapons and fight. Only the Kshatriyas will fight. And when only your Kshatriyas will fight, you are going to lose. And that's what happened. And most of these farmers were anyway so much suppressed. They were taking taxes from them and other things. They were very suppressed, so much suppressed. So they said, if another power is also coming over us, how does that make? And then came the Bhakti movement. Sant Tukaram, Namdev, Eknath, Gyaneshwar. And they started saying, it was our Protestant Reformation. They started saying, you don't need somebody in between you and God. It doesn't matter what your caste is. God is for you also. And using that ideology came the Marathas, Chhatrapati. And that's how the Swaraj expanded. Here what we have done is, Peshwa, the power of the Peshwa ended in Panipat, substantially, Third Battle of Panipat. 1761, the Afghans came. Afghans were invited to India. Now the question is, who invited Afghans? Primarily, a person named, Shah Waliullah Dehlvi. Shah Waliullah Dehlvi is the ideological father of the Taliban movement. He's the ideological father of the Deoband. The ideology that he had of a Puritan version of Islam, and the fact that, this is Darul Khilafat is created again. He is very similar to Abdul Wahab of Saudi Arabia. So Wahhabism and Shah Waliullah had similar kind of ideology. Waliullah wrote a letter to Ahmad Shah Abdali along with the Nawab of Rohilkhand in Western Uttar Pradesh, Najib-ud-Dawla. Come, the Marathas are creating havoc, come and defeat them. Unfortunately, there were other rulers also who invited Abdali. The Raja of Jaipur, Jodhpur, they also said, the Marathas are extorting too much taxes from us, come and kill them. And Abdali came at Panipat, defeated the Marathas,
Killed all of them.
most of them. This man survived. And he lost one of his legs. He rose again from the ashes of Panipat and later went on to, establish Maratha supremacy in just 10 years. 1761 they lost in Panipat, 1771 they were back in Delhi. That was Mahatma Sindhya, a great warrior in his own right. After that, what we have depicted is all the Maratha the royal families using their prominent queens. So, mother of Shivaji Maharaj, Jijau Sahib, she was the one, because Shivaji's father used to live in Karnataka, in Bangalore. So, he was mostly in the company of his mother, learning the history of India, getting the sanskars from his mother. Tarabai, when, Aurangzeb had killed Sambhaji, and Rajaram was also dead, the sons of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. Aurangzeb felt that the English Swaraj is over. But he did not realize that the wife of Rajaram, a lady, Tarabai, became the next Chhatrapati. And it was very funny for him, actually. He said, what will a lady wearing bangles do? Will he be able to counteract or face the grand Mughal edifice that we have? But interestingly, this lady was able to do that. Even during those periods of chaos, when the children of Shivaji were killed, Aurangzeb had a tough time because of Tarabai and her three generals, Nemaji Sindhya, Dhanaji Jadhav and Santaji Ghorpade. The three of them fought valiantly and against Aurangzeb, and in fact Aurangzeb ended up dying in Maharashtra. Even today Aurangzeb's tomb is in Maharashtra, in Aurangabad, which is now called Chhatrapati Sambhajinagar. So this is the legacy of these brave women leaders. Baizabai, I was telling you about the Anglo-Maratha war, sir. She fought against Arthur Wellesley, who defeated Napoleon. Imagine. Again, a lady who was married in this particular family, so she was Ghadge originally, married the Sindhyas, came here, but again, contributed significantly in anti-British warfare. Ahilyabai Holkar. Today we see the the Kashi Vishweshwar temple. She rebuilt it. The Mahakaleshwar temple in Ujjain was rebuilt by Ranoji Singh. Most of the temples that you see in North India, Central India were destroyed during the Islamic period. They were rebuilt primarily by the Marathas. It's not an exaggeration. You see Mahakaleshwar Mandir rebuilt by Marathas, Ranoji Singh. Your Kashi Vishweshwar, Marathas, Ahilyabai Holkar. Vishnupad temple in Gaya, Marathas. So old Somnath temple, Marathas. So they basically, the story is Saltikar book that what Banaras is the recreation of the Marathas. Most of their class. Chinnabai Gaikwad from the Gaikwad family of Gujarat. Why she is here is because she ended the parda system of the lady in Gujarat. She said, I'll sit without any parda with the Maharaja. So she was very progressive now. Lakshmi Bai Nevalkar, the Rani of Jhansi. She again came from the Tambe family, a Marathi family. She got married to Gangadhar Rao Nevalkar, the Marathi Maharaja of Jhansi, and we know she contributed significantly in the 1857 battle. War of independence. And it had to be reconverted. So you have, Ahmad Shah Abdali there, the armies. That is the Maratha armor. The thing that the Honorable Prime Minister has pedestalized now. Before the Maratha Navy was built, any ship that wanted to trade in the Arabian Sea had to take up cartas from the Portuguese. If you don't have the Portuguese permission or the cartas, the Portuguese will sink your ship. Very similar to what the Iranian IRGC is doing in Hormuz. Then the Marathas came and they told, even if you have the cartas and you don't have the dastak of the Marathas, their permit, we'll sink your ship. So what Trump is doing, blockade of a blockade, that if you sink the ships that are pro-America, we'll sink the ship. British commanded by General Lake. That's how the Marathas lost Delhi in 1803. And if you today want to see a real proof of that, then you need to, as I said, go inside the Noida Golf Course. There's still a pillar there where it is written that General Gerard Lake. You were talking about Metcalfe, right? The Metcalfe house where DRD was. Who was Charles Metcalfe? Charles Metcalfe was a resident in the court of General Lake. And Metcalfe was given a place to stay. He participated in the second Anglo-Maratha wars against Daulat Rao Scindia. And when Delhi was conquered, this battle, you can see the Jamuna and all the depictions. Lake became the main commander in Delhi, and he made Metcalfe as he was the resident. And one of the statements of Metcalfe is very popular, which was later quoted by Jawaharlal Nehru in his book Discovery of India. He said, in 18th century India, there were only two powers, the British and the Marathas. All other states paid their tribute to one or the other. So that was the power of the Swarajya that Shivaji Maharaj conceptualized. It was small in the beginning. It was a people's movement in the beginning. And interestingly, the good thing about Swaraj is it has been taken by people from different ideologies. In the left, you have people like Govind Pansare, who was unfortunately assassinated in Maharashtra. He was the comrade, he was a communist leader. He wrote a book, Shivaji Kaun Hota, telling that, how Shivaji's movement was a people's movement. In the Dravidian movement, Anna Durai and other people in the south, they also glorified Shivaji. In the center, you had people like Nehru, they also said that, Marathas were proto-nationalistic, they were not feudal. And on the right, of course, you have V.D. Savarkar and others. They wrote the entire book, Hindu Pad Padshahi. So, it's not an exaggeration, sir, that if you look for other warriors in Indian history, there are very handful of warriors that have been appreciated by people from across the political spectrum. Like if you, let me give an example, like Maharana Pratap. He is not appreciated by the left. He is not appreciated by even the center. He is more the right. You go, the Prithviraj Chauhan, his struggle. But you come to Shivaji, even the left will say People's Revolution. Shivaji, they'll say he was not Go Brahman Pratipalak. He was not the protector of the Brahmins and the cows. He was Janata Raja. He was Kulwadi Bhushan, like Shahu. This, we have depicted Shahu over here, sir. He is the man who first time gave reservation in India. 50% affirmative action to non-Brahmins in Kolhapur state. He was the one who funded Ambedkar's Mook Nayak. So, people ask this question.
Raja Shahu.
Shahu Chhatrapati of Kolhapur. The Kanpur University is named after him, if I'm not wrong. Chhatrapati Shahu University.
Yes.
So, Shahu Maharaj, like that Sayaji Rao funded Ambedkar's education. Around 20,000 rupees he gave in scholarship to Ambedkar. Ambedkar went to Columbia, studied there and came back and became a military advisor to the Maharaja. So that is the, you can say, the story. Yeah, it is. cataract operations. He had astronomical instruments for a close study of the stars. He created the first zoological garden in Tamil Nadu in the Thanjavur Palace premises and enriched the Saraswati Mahal library with priceless works, maps, dictionaries, coins, and artwork. So he was a scientific brain of that age. And he knew multiple languages. He spoke English, he spoke German, he spoke English, he spoke Portuguese, he spoke Spanish. So for their general national security, it is on these Indic, not Indian, empires of Southeast Asia. You know, Majapahit, you know, Sri Vijaya, Shailendra, all these big empires in the Nusantara archipelago. I will send it to you, sir. Please. This is again a small effort from our side.